President Trump, in his address to Congress a few days ago, spoke a little bit about drug policy here. Let's play this and see if you could spot the contradiction.
Our terrible drug epidemic will slow down and ultimately stop. And our neglected inner cities will see a rebirth of hope, safety, and opportunity. Above all else, we will keep our promises to the American people.
He says our drug epidemic will eventually stop. It'll stop. And then he goes on to say, a few breaths later, and we will keep our promises to the American people. You just promised to stop the drug epidemic. That's a promise. There's no way you're going to keep it. It's impossible. Especially with the policies that you plan on pursuing in order to do that. How can you make that statement? How shameless must a human being be to make that statement? Our drug epidemic will stop, and we're going to keep our promises to the American people. Really? So you're definitely going to stop the drug epidemic? You know you're going to be able to stop that? No, you're not going to be able to stop it because, again, he wants to double down and triple down and quadruple down on this drug warrior mentality. He agrees with dipshit Democrat Joe Manchin, who said the other day, or I should say a month or so ago, yeah, you know, what we should do is, we should have, a war on drugs, and that'll, stop it. Yeah, if only we hadn't been doing that for the past however many decades and blown over $1 trillion and made it so that people, either the same amount or even more people are doing drugs today than they were before you started this dumbass war on drugs. And by the way, of course, you have a giant body count of over 60,000 people who've died because it's a literal hot war with drug cartels. And you made drug cartels stronger because when you ban something and it's prohibition, you push it onto the black market and you give the cartels a monopoly on it, just like what happened with prohibition and the mafia. But all these, they're not smart, they're idiots. So they think oh, this is what we're going to do to stop it. We're going to stop the drug epidemic. What we're going to do is we're going to have war on drugs, and we're going to be really tough on drugs and drug crimes and whatnot. So lock up more people who are just caught smoking a joint or something. That'll fix the problem. And just use more guns and stuff. And it'll totally be taken care of, bro. We've been doing the run and gun bullshit Steven Seagal movie trash for decades, and it didn't fix the problem. Now, furthermore, you go back to the origin of the war on drugs. A top Nixon aide admitted it. He said, yeah, the reason why we even bothered to do it in the first place is because we wanted to police the undesirables. We knew that politically, black people and white liberals, anti-war hippies, we knew they were never going to vote for us. We knew they were just a problem in our eyes from a political perspective. So we tried to criminalize things that they do. And turns out marijuana is one of those things. Of course, during the Nixon administration, it was the free love and sex movement, the hippie movement. And they said, okay, we'll just ban drugs. And then it gives you an excuse, a green light to have a police state for those communities, and you lock them up. Now, remember, this isn't me saying it. This is a top Nixon administration official who was like, yeah, that's why we did it. It wasn't actually about, oh, we have a problem and we must fix it. It was about, let's find an excuse to lock up these sons of bitches. So, and we're still stuck with this thought virus today, where Republicans are like, oh, drugs, oh, drugs are so bad. Anyway, pass the whiskey. What the fuck? Cigarettes are legal. Alcohol is legal. Right off the bat, those two kill more people and are way worse for you than marijuana, for example. Never mind the fact you go to the doctor, you get some Xanax, you get some Percocet, you get some this, you get some that. You wouldn't even want to live. Caffeine is a drug. You don't want to live in a society with no goddamn drugs. So the overwhelming majority of people who do drugs are moderate and they can live their life and they're not going to hurt anybody. But no, they want to lock up the people who, do these things and then that'll fix everything. No, that is the problem. They act like we got to solve the problem by locking people up. No, the problem is locking people up. That's the fucking problem. And you want to double down on that, and you have the nerve to say, the drug epidemic will stop and we're going to keep our promises. There's no way you're going to stop the drug epidemic because you're not trying to go down the path of, at the very least, decriminalization. What you should really do is legalize, tax, and regulate and set up treatment centers at the same time. That's how you really address the problem. Freedom and liberty for more people. What happened? I thought you believed in small government. Freedom and liberty for more people. Most people who can use drugs recreationally and have no problem. And for the people with addiction issues, okay, you have rehab centers, treatment centers, addiction clinics that are there for them. But no, see, this requires being an adult. This requires being a serious person who actually looks through the evidence and sees what works. So fuck that. Don't want to do that at all. I'm a tough guy. I'm Macho Man Donald Trump and Jeff Sessions. Fucking dipshit Jeff Sessions with the worst voting record in the Senate. Yeah, I'm strong. I'm tough on drugs here. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna lock more people up for having the freedom to tweak their consciousness a little bit. Fuck all you guys, man. And you're just a shameless liar. Because Trump knows. Trump, if he bothered to think about it for 0.2 seconds, he knows. You can't say the drug epidemic will stop. That's not something you just say. It'll stop. I'm going to stop it. It'll be tremendous. And then you say, we're going to keep our promises. Oh, yeah? Well, whenever you leave office, I can't wait to do that segment where I say, hey, asshole, you said the drug epidemic will stop, and it didn't stop. And guess what? The solution you took was to double down on enforcement and cracking down on people and doubling down and tripling down on the drug war. So how about this? Your philosophy, your policies were wrong. So maybe it's time to go in the other direction and actually fix this problem and give people more freedom and liberty, legalize, tax, and regulate, and set up the addiction treatment centers so that when people do have a medical problem, you treat it like the medical problem it is, as opposed to locking them in a cage and throwing away the key.